cancer risks. I advised against risking her life. Hannah took my counsel. She continued dating William without marriage. Months later, William abruptly ended things when his younger mistress announced her twin pregnancy. Hannah had a meltdown. She must have used IVF too. This should have been my life. Blaming me for her lost fortune. She spiked my bedtime milk with lethal sedatives. When Ethan hesitated to call 911 during my convulsions, his mother hissed, "Choose between us." That meddling shrew ruined everything. My spineless husband watched me die. The coroner ruled it antidepressant overdose. Now reborn at the fateful consultation moment. I stare at Hannah's hopeful face clutching William's pristine medical report. Her postmenopausal hormone levels and 2 remaining follicles make conception nearly impossible. Last timeline. I'd pleaded with maternal concern. This time, I sip my tea calmly. Mother Smith. As a gynecologist, not a fertility specialist, I'm unqualified to advise on IVF complexities. But statistically, I slide over cancer risk charts. Modern medicine works miracles for determined women. Her eyes glitter with renewed ambition. Across the room, Ethan's childhood photo mocks me from the mantel. Let the Brown family fortune chase its own destruction. This Thompson daughter-in-law will simply facilitate destiny. If you want to know about IVF success rates, you should consult a reproductive medicine specialist at the hospital. When I declined, Hannah frowned. Aren't all doctors the same? Both specialties deal with women's pregnancy. How could you not know? Ethan initially wanted to avoid this sensitive women's health discussion. But hearing his 55-year-old mother considering IVF, he intervened. Sophia. Mom has a point. You're a doctor, give us some professional medical advice. I glanced dismissively at the mother-son duo. That's why they say every field has its own expertise. Gynecology and reproductive medicine are distinct specialties. Gynecology focuses on overall reproductive health and treating diseases, while reproductive medicine specializes in fertility issues. Hannah pointed at herself awkwardly. Aren't they both about women's parts? I feigned amusement. Exactly. Mom. Your system works perfectly fine. So no need to consult me. Many women waste time seeing gynecologists for fertility issues when they should go straight to reproductive specialists. Waste time? Last week we had a patient with blocked fallopian tubes. Our department performed 6 flushing procedures without success. Had she gone to reproductive medicine initially, they'd have recommended IVF immediately. This was partly to deter Hannah. Though her case differed, any responsible specialist would advise against IVF at 55. But I'd let them discover that themselves. Hannah hesitated. I read about a 64-year-old delivering a healthy baby via C-section. I suppressed a scoff. Such miracle cases made headlines precisely because they're medical anomalies. Ethan exploded. Mom. You're 55 with existing children. What will people think? This is madness. Hannah flushed. William has suffered enough, lost his wife and daughter. He deserves. Ethan cut her off. If he wants children, he should find a younger woman. Expecting menopausal women to risk childbirth is insanity. I quietly marveled at Ethan's uncharacteristic assertiveness. In my previous life, I'd been the one voicing these objections. Tears welled in Hannah's eyes. I want this too. William and I were meant to be. We'd even chosen baby names, Ethan or June. Fate tore us apart. But now, Ethan paled, realizing he'd been named as William's replacement. I discreetly enjoyed this revelation. When Ethan tried dragging me into the argument, I deftly redirected. Let reproductive specialists evaluate mom's ovarian reserves. We shouldn't deny our parents' happiness for social appearances. Hannah tearfully embraced me. I knew you'd understand. Sophia. My internal smirk widened this time. The difficult truths would come from medical professionals. Not me. Hannah declared. We're in the era of empowered women now. The flip side of women not being confined by motherhood is that we can choose not only to abstain from childbirth but also to conceive whenever we desire. My body. My choice. I nearly choked on my tea. Who would have thought the 55-year-old Hannah would be so progressive? Ethan was fuming over his mother's feminist manifesto. He finally grasped that IVF discussions were non-negotiable with Hannah. She shamelessly pleaded. Sophia. You must help me. Even though you're an OB/GYN. You must have connections in the fertility department. Given my special circumstances, could you ask them to give me extra attention? Knowing my fertility colleagues' protocols, they'd likely reject a woman Hannah's age with existing children. But personal recommendations sometimes sway decisions. I needed to distance myself from this mess. Feigning concern, I warned. Mom, there's ongoing tension between our departments due to overlapping responsibilities. Just last week, I had a heated argument with their deputy director. Mentioning our relationship might actually hurt your chances. Though medical professionals prioritize patient care regardless of internal conflicts, I prioritized self-preservation through this white lie. Undeterred, Hannah pressed. Which fertility specialist would you recommend? I deflected. Success rates depend more on chance than physician skill here. It's like conception itself, whether you get Ethan or hypothetical William Jr. depended entirely on which egg met sperm that particular month. Blushing at the mention of William, her youthful sweetheart, Hannah became receptive. Her determination solidified. IVF was happening. This timeline granted her wish. 2 months later, she married William, her long-lost first love. They celebrated with dual-themed wedding photoshoots, traditional Chinese and modern Western. Though prints weren't ready yet, Hannah endlessly scrolled through digital proofs on her phone, marveling. We never did this in my first marriage. Finally living my dream. She quietly abandoned hopes of a lavish wedding. Rationalizing, Ethan would feel awkward with grand celebrations. William's business success demands discretion anyway. William compensated with a multi-million-dollar penthouse. Hannah consoled herself. I've had weddings before. Real assets beat ceremony any day. Still, she couldn't resist flaunting her triumph, posting a curated grid featuring golden jewelry artfully arranged on her property deed. Captioned Destiny Prevails. Soulmates reunited forever. When relatives teased about missing diamond rings, she quipped, I'm basic, give me shiny gold over icy rocks any day. With faux bashfulness. I chuckled knowingly. Hannah actually coveted jade. Religiously watching luxury gemstone streams but never splurging. Whether William denied her jade or she pragmatically chose liquid assets remained unclear. Relocating to her new penthouse granted me unexpected relief, no more shared living. Her intimate wedding invitation posed a dilemma, between hectic work hours and packing for my mandatory year-long rural medical outreach, required for promotion. Attendance seemed impossible. Last lifetime, I'd delayed this career milestone to comfort her through depression. This time, I embraced the assignment without hesitation. But I really wanted to get the tea. Didn't William insist on keeping things low-key? I couldn't wait to see how low-key their wedding banquet would actually be. At the venue, there were only 2 tables in the private room, all occupied by Hannah's relatives from the Smith family. Not a single relative or friend attended from William's side. Truly an intimate affair. William explained without prompting, my social circle's too extensive. Inviting some would offend others. So we opted for simplicity. He pulled Hannah closer. His new bride, blushing in her pale blue cheapao, was like a docile dove nestled against his chest. Happiness shouldn't be paraded. All I need for the rest of my life is my Hannah. Midway through dinner, they cornered me in an adjacent room. William cut to the chase. We need your help with our IVF treatment at your hospital. I'd anticipated this. The doctors advised against it due to Hannah's age. Didn't they? He shook his head, gripping Hannah's hand. We're fully aware of the risks. The fertility specialist initially discouraged us. But, his voice softened with performative tenderness. Hannah's devotion outweighs any danger. The treatment plan on Hannah's phone screen glared with disclaimers. Patient assumes full responsibility for potential ovarian/breast cancer risks due to advanced maternal age. Her signature slashed across the waiver. Then what's the issue? William's mask slipped slightly. Your hospital's bureaucrats refused to proceed without a marriage certificate. My eyebrows shot up. They'd thrown a banquet but skipped the legal paperwork? Hannah bristled at my reaction. At our age, marriage licenses are trivialities. We'll formalize things after the baby arrives. They wanted me to pressure colleagues into bypassing regulations. Rules apply to everyone, I stated. Even physicians need documentation for fertility treatments. William stormed out, muttering about petty red tape, with Hannah trailing like an anxious shadow. I watched their exit with concealed amusement. Let's see what exceptions her devotion could buy. Days later, I left for my rural medical assignment without consulting Ethan. He sulked about delayed baby plans. I bit back my retort, thank God we had no children tying me to this moral coward. My real agenda? Strengthen healthcare access in underserved communities while letting our marriage wither. The revelation came via TikTok. A former pharmaceutical rep I'd rejected now worked at a boutique fertility clinic. Her post featured Hannah in a ridiculous lace sun hat, praying dramatically on a Pepto-pink hallway bench. The caption gushed, "This stunning 55-year-old believes in love's miracle. Public hospitals turned her away, but will make her motherhood dream come true." I replayed the video, recognizing the clinic's shoddy decor through the filter glamour. The rep's profile showed no medical credentials, just endless hospital promotions. Hannah had traded ethical medicine for this circus. Scrolling through my contacts, I found the rep's number still saved. The algorithm had done its job. As laughter bubbled up, I realized some miracles are really just desperation wearing rose-tinted filters. However, it's predictable that such hospitals wouldn't be rigid about protocols. They'd likely perform procedures even without marriage certificates. 2 months into my rural assignment, the medical conference commenced. Driving back, I stopped by my apartment to retrieve conference suits. Unexpectedly, I encountered Hannah downstairs. The hormonal treatments had visibly caused weight gain. "Sophia," she simpered, blushing. "My cycle, it's regular now. The doctor says we can start injections next month." I congratulated her, casually asking why she wasn't staying at the luxury condo William bought her. "Proximity to the hospital makes checkups easier," she deflected, then boasted about William transferring shares of his subsidiary to her. "Life keeps improving," she glowed. "Though William's constant business trips are inconvenient. He's away again these days." I nodded curtly, gathered belongings, and hurried to the conference hotel. While parking, I spotted a familiar man across the street outside a 5-star hotel, William himself, looking youthful in light gray tailored suit, accompanied by the same beige, chiffon-clad woman from my past life. The puzzle deepened. If William wanted children, why go through menopausal Hannah instead of this younger woman? I waited until they disappeared before exiting my car. I avoided Ethan during this return. He contacted me once, but I pleaded conference obligations. Post-event, I resumed rural duties. Months later, Hannah bombarded my phone with 10 voice messages at midnight. Rural hospitals required 24/7 availability, so I listened immediately. Her latest IVF cycle yielded 3 base follicles, 2 mature eggs, and 1 viable embryo that initially implanted successfully before miscarrying despite interventions. "The doctors say my age caused poor egg quality," she sobbed. "What if I never get another chance?" At dawn, I offered perfunctory comfort. "These things take time." That night, she posted memorials for her lost angel online. Reactions ranged from admiration, motherly devotion, to skepticism, "Why pursue motherhood at 55? Her defiant response, "Creating life with the man you love is every woman's primal calling. Those who get it, get it. We'll try again." I anticipated worsening results given her declining fertility. Yet 2 months later, our head nurse called gossiping. "Turns out our 55-year-old IVF patient is your mother-in-law." Against expectations, Hannah's new cycle produced 10 eggs, 6 embryos, 4 blastocysts. Suspicious. I remembered her initial 3 follicles. "Why is she coming to our department? We don't handle IVF." The nurse complained, "She needs adhesion surgery." Her private clinic refused. So she's leveraging your connection to demand our chief's expertise. Lucky you're stationed remotely. Or you'd be operating on her yourself. Hannah never mentioned exploiting my professional reputation for preferential treatment. Cold sweat dripped down my neck as I stammered. This is unfair. I knew nothing about this. Please apologize to the department head for me. The head nurse sighed. I figured you weren't involved. Given her age and the number of eggs retrieved, there's clearly something fishy going on. Our chief physician kindly warned her about potential complications and advised against embryo transfer after surgery. Her words confirmed my suspicions. The wildly fluctuating test results showed miraculous improvements no medication could realistically achieve. I silently thought Sophia Johnson had become an unwitting surrogate. Those eggs likely belonging to that younger woman. I silently prayed she wouldn't suddenly grow a conscience and start digging for the truth. How did she react? I asked. The nurse snorted. Your mother-in-law threw a tantrum, insisting there's nothing wrong with her fertility and accusing our chief of questioning her womanhood. After hanging up, I scrolled through my phone while piecing things together. Any medical professional could see Hannah's egg retrieval numbers were abnormal. Why would a young woman let a menopausal surrogate carry her child? Was she that terrified of pregnancy itself? My feed suddenly showed a new promotional video from our pharmaceutical rep. There was Hannah being paraded as their success story again. Ovarian health directly correlates with liver-kidney function and blood circulation. The narrator chirped. Our hospital customizes traditional remedies like motherwort tea and menstrual regulating soups for every patient. Combined with our meridian moxibustion therapy, this client's follicle count tripled. Our patented fertility protocol is simply amazing. While integrated Eastern-Western medicine shows promise, this private hospital's overhyped claims reeked of pseudoscience. Right on cue, Hannah updated her social media with an 4-drip selfie captioned, "The lonely journey to motherhood misunderstood by family. Sustained by hope. Successful surgery brings me closer to my baby." Ethan commented, biting the hand that feeds you. I snorted. His sarcasm barely registered anymore. Months flew by in the rural clinic where I found purpose helping underserved communities. The peace shattered one midnight when Ethan called panicking, "Mom's 3 months pregnant but bleeding heavily after walking too much. What do I do? Take her to the ER." I said flatly. "It's just me here." Williams disappeared again. "You're her son. Do your job." Memories of their cruelty during my past life surfaced, Hannah's venomous curses. Ethan's cold indifference when I'd needed help. I muted my phone and slept. Dawn revealed dozens of missed calls. Ethan had rushed Hannah to the hospital where cervical insufficiency was diagnosed. Colleagues explained the high-risk emergency circlage procedure. But Hannah demanded, "Get your department head to operate." After hours of arguments, she finally consented. I sighed. Unlike dramatic rebirth stories where protagonists seek vengeance, I chose exile. Pathetic? Maybe. But effective. Ethan blamed me for not driving back overnight to perform the surgery myself. "You think hospitals are your personal concierge service?" I snapped. "We've saved your mom multiple times. Stop abusing our goodwill." The fight became my exit. "My lawyer will contact you about the divorce." His furious voice messages went unanswered while Hannah continued posting hospital selfies between 4 drips. She sighed about how smoothly her last pregnancy went, back then. My belly just grew bigger day by day without me even noticing. And suddenly, I became a mother. This time feels like an old tree trying to blossom, bearing fruit has become so difficult. When Hannah was hospitalized, the department director publicly criticized me in the workgroup chat, as medical professionals, we must manage our relatives properly. I meekly replied, "She won't be family much longer. I've officially filed for divorce." My senior colleague saw this and privately messaged to comfort me, saying her training in Beijing would end soon and she'd visit me in the countryside afterward. True to her word, she came 2 weeks later, pulling up an encyclopedia entry on her phone. She asked, "Is this your mother-in-law's husband?" I was startled to see William's photo. "Don't tell me you're his girlfriend." She playfully swatted me. "Don't be ridiculous. Here's some juicy gossip for you." It turned out the young woman accompanying William had sought treatment from the specialist my colleague was shadowing. William had presented himself as a prominent local entrepreneur whose wife suffered a strange condition. Her menstrual cycle had stopped, replaced by monthly nosebleeds. The diagnosis? Endometriosis with endometrial tissue growing in her nasal mucosa. Suddenly everything made sense. No wonder William was pushing Hannah to get pregnant. His mistress couldn't conceive. For the first time, I felt pity for Hannah. Just days earlier, she'd posted about sacrificing her mahjong games and group dance sessions to remain bedridden for fetal preservation. In her photo shoot wearing traditional, inspired attire, the 7-figure jade bracelet peeking from her sleeve drew envious comments. She'd responded with a shushing emoji, keep it low-key. Living this second life. I had to admire William's precision in baiting his traps. The sweeter Hannah's current delusions, the more devastating her eventual awakening would be. But the net would soon close. After Hannah's delivery, I planned to strike. Meanwhile, my lawyer had finalized everything. I successfully divorced Ethan. Exactly 1 year later, I resumed hospital duties while preparing for promotion. Hannah underwent C-section for a 7.6-pound boy. Convinced her hardships had finally paid off, she flooded social media with 9-grid baby photos and personally called every acquaintance, including me. Her smug voice crackled through the receiver. Sophia, as someone who's been through it, let me advise you. Women shouldn't focus solely on careers. If you and Ethan had a child, you wouldn't have split so easily. A woman's greatest happiness is bearing a blood-related child for the man she loves. I endured her toxic ramblings with perfunctory congratulations. Her joy would be short-lived. That night, I sent an anonymous text from a foreign number. You fool. Your baby was swapped. That's not your child. Then I waited. Relatives later filled in the aftermath. Before any DNA test, Hannah discovered the truth when her newborn developed jaundice requiring blood typing. With her type B and William's type O, the baby's type A blood told the whole story. Still recovering, Hannah stormed into the private hospital accusing them of egg substitution. The facility produced signed agreements. After the first failed IVF cycle, you both consented to this supplemental protocol. The contract revealed a disturbing clause. Hannah's eggs had been mixed with those from an anonymous donor during fertilization. The mystery donor's identity was obvious. Embryos were then randomly implanted. Hannah initially denied signing until recalling the paperwork William had her endorse while transferring a subsidiary to her name, which turned out to be a shell company. Confronted, William claimed using younger eggs ensured healthier babies. Does it matter whose egg? You carried it, that makes it yours. But Hannah's lifelong dream had been bearing a biological child for her first love. This betrayal shattered even that illusion. The final cruelty? William himself destroyed the fantasy she'd preserved for decades. Furious, Hannah burst into tears and slapped William across the face. William pointed at her and sneered. Don't push your luck. You think bearing my child gives you leverage over me? Hannah sobbed uncontrollably. Then what was our years together worth? Worthless. You heartless monster. You jumped into another man's bed after just 6 months without contact. How dare you judge me? Hannah persisted. If you loved her so much, why not have her carry your child instead of tormenting me? William coldly retorted. I couldn't bear putting her through childbirth. You practically volunteered for IVF when I casually mentioned it. Since you were so eager, you'll suffer the consequences. When Hannah lunged at him like a wild animal, William kicked her to the ground. We could have kept pretending you play dumb mother to our child while I provide. But you had to ruin everything. With no marriage certificate binding them. Their relationship ended then, or rather, Hannah had no choice but to leave. Control had never been hers. When William demanded custody, Hannah refused. Ethan never particularly liked the child and urged her to surrender it. This is my flesh and blood, Hannah insisted. William countered cruelly. Fine. Keep it. My money will support you both. Consider yourself a glorified nanny. The final blow came when courts notified Hannah that William's gifted penthouse would be repossessed due to mortgage fraud. blindly trusting him. She'd signed equity transfer papers without reading them. William had mortgaged property already under her name. Around this time, Hannah was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Before she could process this, William's extravagant wedding destroyed her. Defying his claimed aversion to pomp, William booked an entire 6-story banquet hall. Guests packed every floor. The groom changed outfits thrice to match his bride. During the reception, hysterical Hannah stormed in with their infant and stabbed William. Though quickly subdued, one strike pierced his heart. He died en route to hospital. The dropped baby suffered brain damage causing lifelong intellectual disability, now left for the bride to raise. Ethan arrived to chaos. Hannah received life imprisonment for murder. As scandal engulfed their family, Ethan sold his properties, quit his job, and disappeared. I never visited Hannah in prison. They say she never understood why William married that woman instead of making her bear children, nor why her sacrifices meant nothing. She never grasped the importance of maintaining independence in relationships. No woman can chain a man through pregnancy. Ultimately, these were her choices, self-inflicted wounds. My focus remains on building my own future, where better things await. After divorcing John, I went to visit my daughter. Never imagined I'd get beaten nearly to death by my ex-father-in-law Michael. He gave me a cerebral hemorrhage so severe I died in the ambulance before reaching the hospital. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment of signing divorce papers with John. Slamming the divorce agreement against his face, I sweetly apologized to the clerk. We're actually doing great. Just had a little lover's quarrel. We're not divorcing. Yvonne, are you fucking with me? John chased me out of the civil affairs office, face crimson with rage. We waited through the entire cooling-off period. You can't just back out now. I kept walking while speed-dialing my brother. When he answered, I urgently demanded, get here in 5 minutes or your sister's a goner. His martial arts studio being nearby, Grant exploded, on my way. Only then did I stop. John nearly collided into me, hastily straightening his shirt with feigned nonchalance before sneering, what's your game? We agreed Mandy stays with me and you leave penniless. Having second thoughts? Scanning our surroundings, I suddenly raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Before he recovered, I started shrieking, abusive bastard. Cheating scum. You screw around then try to leave me homeless? In your dreams. Everyone look. This trash made me raise his kids and care for his parents for 6 years. Now he's threatening our toddler to steal everything. You're no father. You and that home-wrecking whore want us dead. You and your father Michael are animals in human skin. He beats your mother Laura daily. You beat me and Mandy, whole family's monsters. I contorted my face into hysterical rage. John gaped, accustomed only to my calm demeanor. Truth hardly mattered, like when Michael murdered me last life. After dying, I'd watched the Johnsons coordinate false testimony, claiming I fell downstairs. They'd paid off my parents with blood money, then blackmailed them using Mandy's custody. My brother Grant got arrested confronting John. Remembering this, I wanted to skin these demons alive. As John started recovering, I sprinted to a fruit stand and grabbed a watermelon knife. Amid gasps, I forced the blade into his hand. Do it. Kill me. Then you can marry that whore properly. I shoved my neck toward the trembling steel. Come on. Chop my head off. He stumbled backward. Typical coward, 6 years of marriage only gave him courage to bully me behind closed doors. Even when his father Michael cursed me at dinner tables. The crowd's murmurs crescendoed. Grant arrived like an avenging angel, instantly disarming the knife. My performance peaked with trembling lips. See? He'd rather kill me than let our baby have her mother. Security swarmed in as I collapsed into Grant's arms, whispering, get ready to sue for full custody. We're burning this house of horrors down. John's protests drowned in the uproar. Let the social media storm begin. This time, the Johnsons would learn what true hell felt like. He didn't dare say a word. That's exactly why his father Michael became so insufferably arrogant, ultimately driving me to desperation. In this second chance at life, screw being perfect wife and mother. Screw emotional stability. Today, I'm embracing the madness. Bystanders already had their phones out filming the spectacle. Nosy old ladies pointed at John, muttering about how decent-looking men could harbor such rotten cores. Strangers shouted insults at him on my behalf. John stood speechless. I'd deliberately chosen the busiest intersection downtown. Crowds guaranteed. Just as the commotion peaked, a human freight train plowed through the crowd and dropkicked John into the pavement. My brother Grant loomed protectively before me. You filthy coward. Pulling a knife on my sister? You got a death wish? I didn't. I swear. John's trembling hand still clutched the blade, making Grant see red. The beating that followed left John howling like a mangy dog, his face swollen beyond recognition. We all got hauled to the station. Shockingly, nobody testified about me forcing the knife into John's hand, not even the fruit vendor. Knife in whose hand? Crime on whose head? The vendor shrugged. Case closed with verbal warnings. Outside the police station, Grant slapped John twice for good measure. Touch my sister again and I'll break every bone your daddy's money ever bought. Grant. I'd never hurt Yvonne. Why won't you believe me? John pleaded desperately. Grant snorted. Take your lies to hell. One more stunt from your family, and I'll burn your whole damn legacy to the ground. Understood. John whimpered, though his eyes burned with venom when he glanced at me. I gripped Grant's arm. Enough. Have Mom and Dad pack their things, they're moving into our house today. Bring your stuff too. What? John sputtered. I stared him down. Our down payment was split evenly. I've paid the mortgage solo for 3 years while your parents lived rent-free. Mine deserve their turn. But we only have 3 bedrooms. Where? Mom and I'll share the master with Mandy. Dad and Grant take the guest room. Your parents stay put. Where do I sleep? The couch. My parents sacrificed everything for me, they won't suffer discomfort. I threw his own words back at him. Besides, big families should stick together. Wasn't that your brilliant idea when your parents invaded our home after Mandy's birth? From then on, they shamelessly settled into our lives. 3 years flew by. While their family thrived, I developed one health complication after another. That's why in my past life, I'd immediately filed for divorce upon discovering John's affair. But his family blackmailed me using Mandy, forcing me to leave with nothing. Though reluctant, I agreed for Mandy's sake. Little did I know that divorce wouldn't just hasten my demise but also strip me of my rightful status. Now, divorce is off the table. I'll claim what's rightfully mine, whether John likes it or not. Our whole family has officially moved back into my house. When his parents saw us hauling luggage through their doorway, Michael nearly jumped out of his recliner, stuttering, "In-laws. What's this? Wasn't today supposed to be John and Yvonne's divorce appointment? How come? What decent parents root for their child's divorce?" My mother spat, cutting him off. Eager to welcome that homewrecker? Dream on. This marriage lasts as long as we say so. My father nodded fiercely. Thought you could swindle my daughter? Listen well, Michael, if your boy contacts that woman or mentions divorce again, my son will break both his legs. This is outrageous. Michael trembled, pointing accusingly. I stared coldly. Outrageous? The same man who'd beaten me senseless in my previous life suddenly plays victim? Laura rushed to mediate. Darling, it's all misunderstanding. We want what's best. I tried counseling them. But your daughter insisted on separating. We can't force. Then why strip her of everything? Dad snapped. For Mandy's future. Laura pleaded. School expenses. Upbringing costs. Yvonne agreed to. Divorce isn't happening, I declared, cutting through her lies. John simply made a common mistake. I forgive him. The Johnsons gaped. They knew my zero-tolerance policy, exactly why they'd pushed for divorce. I threw Laura's own manipulative words back at them. After all, I could wait this out, unlike John's pregnant mistress. While the Johnsons sputtered, Grant and I hauled belongings into bedrooms. Mom distracted Mandy with cookies before guiding her upstairs. Only when settled did I face them properly. Before I could get a word in edgewise, Laura launched into a tirade about how Grant had gone too rough on her son. "How could you let your brother beat up my baby like this?" Michael chimed in, claiming that when couples start throwing hands, there's no point dragging it out. Better cut losses early for everyone's sake. Especially the kids. I smirked silently. They'd used Amanda as leverage against me in my past life. But did they really think that would work on me now? I wouldn't have brought my entire family here unprepared, letting them exhaust their theatrics. I finally drawled. "Divorce? Not happening. Not now. Not ever. Feel free to walk out that door anytime if this arrangement chafes your delicate sensibilities." "You're kicking us out?" Michael's face purpled. His entitled ass unaccustomed to pushback. His palm slammed the coffee table with a bang. Before he could finish his tantrum, Dad surged to his feet and flipped the entire table. 3 stomping strides later, he ripped the wall-mounted TV down and smashed it on the floor. When Grant hesitated, Dad barked, "Get cracking, son. These were your sister's wedding gifts anyway. Since we never got to enjoy them." Grant moved like lightning. The living room became a demolition zone within minutes. Shattered vases, splintered furniture, the Carter family's fury raining down mercilessly. The 3 Johnsons huddled on their intact sofa, barely breathing. Even idiots could have read the room now. When Dad made moves toward the bedroom, Michael's bravado crumbled. "Wait. My bad. Okay?" I spoke out of turn. Let's talk this through like civilized people. Suddenly remember how to use your grown-up words?" I quipped, already brewing Dad's favorite oolong. "You're a lifesaver, Dad. This household will need your steady hand. Quit the sweet talk." Dad chuckled, sipping his tea while locking eyes with Michael. "Just a heads up, I've got this pesky trigger temper. See someone slamming furniture around me? Might black out and redecorate the whole damn house. You'll tolerate my little quirks, won't you, in-law?" Michael's face turned chartreuse, but he stayed mute. I thought we'd reached temporary détente. But the Johnsons couldn't swallow their pride. As we strategized in the master bedroom, police arrived responding to a home invasion and property destruction report. Laughing, I produced marriage certificates and stacks of receipts. "John and I are legally married. Since when do in-laws become trespassers?" As for the smashed items, I waived purchase invoices. My parents enjoy paying good money to hear things go crash. Harmless hobby. "No," the officers faltered. That's when Laura suddenly threw herself on the floor, slapping the ground like a professional mourner. "Assault. Conspiracy. They came to destroy us." She wailed about 3 years of sacrifices raising me and Amanda. Her aria of victimhood meant nothing. Police records would show Grant's self-defense case clearly. As for her other claims, the conflicts were all trivial family squabbles, and outsiders could only mediate. But their actions completely enraged my dad. He'd originally planned for a prolonged battle, but now saw no need. For people with zero shame, the best solution was to fight fire with fire. The next morning, John was stunned again. 4 extra burly men now occupied the trashed living room, my dad's cousins and nephews he'd summoned overnight. My 4 brothers tossed their bags into a corner, all smiles as they politely told John, "Sorry for the intrusion," claiming they needed to crash here while job hunting in this tough economy. John turned ghostly pale. "But I cut in first, I approved this. The house is half mine." Chaos officially descended. But we had a system. My mom focused solely on Mandy's daily care, keeping her away from the drama while blocking John's family from approaching her. The rest of us? We embraced the chaos. Within a week, John's family cracked. My brothers and cousins stayed up all night drinking, karaoke blasting, and dance floor stomping in the living room. Even I developed a twitchy eye from the noise. My mom had already taken Mandy to her parents' place, leaving the circus behind. Dinner became my dad's masterstroke. He'd prepare lavish feasts, only to have Grant snatch plates away when John's family reached for food. We're housemates. Michael. Not Charity. Dad smirked, sipping his wine. If you're hungry, buy your own groceries. Wouldn't want people thinking the Johnsons are moochers. When Michael tried protesting, Dad shut him down. My kids are already grinding at soul-crushing jobs. You want to financially bleed them too? Didn't you preach that elders shouldn't burden the young? Dad enforced strict 50-50 split on every expense, even making John Venmo me $25 for a $50 electric bill. If John complained, Dad threatened to slap him. You're funding your side piece with marital assets. Either return every cent you spent on her, or keep paying half here. John soon found excuses to stay elsewhere, whether at somebody's place or his mistress's. I couldn't care less. Typical avoidance tactic. Michael and Laura lasted a few more miserable days before fleeing back to their hometown. The moment their taxi left, I called the cops to report my stolen car, the vehicle registered in my name. Unlike the jointly owned house, a stolen vehicle is no minor incident. The police arrived promptly, and suspicion immediately fell on Michael. Before they could help recover my car, news came of Michael and Laura's car accident. It was the rainy season, with skies pouring buckets at any moment. The roads were muddy, visibility terrible, and it happened at night. Michael drove straight into a deep ditch by the roadside. The old couple ended up with one dead and one injured. Laura died instantly without uttering a word, while Michael got off with just broken ribs and a fractured leg. When I rushed to the hospital, John was already kneeling by Michael's bed, bawling about how unfilial he was for marrying me who caused his mother's death. He swore he should have divorced me ages ago. I couldn't take it anymore and kicked the door open with Grant. Who the hell do you think you are? You don't get to decide when to divorce. I snapped. John, your father stole my car, and now the insurance won't pay a dime. Even if he's crippled, I'm suing. My parents aren't eating this loss. What the hell do you want from me? John lunged at me, only to get knocked flat by Grant. Michael lay helplessly in bed, watching his son get pummeled. I leaned in with a sweet smile. People instinctively swerve left in emergencies. But you really went all out. Huh? Laura got pancaked while you walked away with a few scratches. Doesn't add up. Wonder if she'll haunt you at midnight? Get out. Out. Michael shrieked in terror. I laughed my head off. The stolen car investigation circled back to me. Turns out the brakes failed. I shrugged at the cops. The car's under my name. But John's the one who drove it daily. Maintenance? Repairs? All him. He practically lived in that thing. Why'd it sit idle that night? My father-in-law's colorblind and unlicensed. Shouldn't illegal driving be your main concern? Oh. And John's been having money troubles lately. Funny how he took out fat insurance policies on both parents. I dumped everything I knew. Half-truths and all. The cops ignored my rambling. But their probe confirmed John's shady dealings, insurance fraud included. That night, I went nuclear. Compiled every scrap of evidence. Cherry-picked damning videos and photos. And posted a tearful manifesto on my cousin's influencer account with millions of followers. The clips showed me red-eyed but brave. Dripping with unspoken victimhood, the perfect mystery for internet sleuths. Someone dug up my public meltdown from weeks prior. Previously ignored. Now it trended alongside hot-button issues, in-law drama, stolen cars, insurance scams. The internet feasted. Overnight, John became infamous. Netizens dug up every skeleton in his closet and uncovered his mistress through online breadcrumbs. People can have flaws. But when someone's entire existence is a walking red flag, they don't deserve to be called human, just trash. Hence his new nickname Trashman trended nationwide. I expected cyberbullying. But John dodged it by getting arrested. Seeing Michael lying alone in his hospital bed almost stirred pity. My brother Grant and I visited repeatedly, each time sending the old man into wheezing fits. You Carters. Michael pounded his forestand. What cosmic curse made my family marry such a viper? Yvonne. 20 years with John. Where's your basic human decency? Gone with your son's fidelity. The frail man actually knelt on his hospital bed, forehead thumping against sheets. I'm begging, Laura's dead. John's jailed. Stop tormenting me. I watched coldly. After surviving death itself, superstitions about cursed blessings meant nothing. Those kowtows were my rightful tribute. When John resurfaced weeks later, haggard, bloodshot, smelling like a jailhouse ashtray, he cornered me in stairwell during visiting hours. What more do you want? Haven't you ruined us enough? His ragged breathing amused me. You asked for this. Drop the charges against Michael. He's half dead already. Prison healthcare's free. Consider it filial piety. Yvonne. His knees hit concrete. Take half everything. Keep Mandy. Just divorce me. I leaned into his desperation. Till death do us part. Remember? We're just getting started. His broken sobs echoed as I left. The affair never mattered. What separated us wasn't some mistress, but two graves. While the Johnsons drowned in misery, we Carters thrived. With Mom watching Mandy, Dad and Grant turned my penthouse into permanent party central. The noise complaints became our dinner music. Why? Dad once asked mid-beer pong. I smiled, rattling ice in my whiskey. Because living well isn't just the best revenge, it's the only one that matters. I told him about my past life experiences as if they were a dream. My dad fell silent for a long moment before patting my shoulder. Even without this dream, we won't let them off easy. John cheated and manipulated you. And Michael is even worse. But don't worry, sweetheart. Your dad and Grant will protect you and Mandy. Got it, Dad. My throat tightened. I thought John would keep hiding. But I underestimated him. When Michael was discharged, John reappeared demanding his father's return. This house is half ours. Since you won't divorce me, you'll accept my family. Fine by me. The house was already trashed anyway. The shock came when John pulled a classic move of shirking his filial duties. He vanished after dumping Michael here, blocking my number. Typical, determined to avoid his jinx of a wife while waiting out the 2-year separation period for divorce. No matter. Seeing Michael trembling in bed gave me visceral satisfaction. This was the same monster who'd killed me over trivial arguments in our past life. Now the tables had turned. I found 3 hidden cameras in his pajamas. Tossing them out, I dragged a chair to his bedside. Bait for your little spy game? John's risking his only family for this scheme. Oh wait. He's getting a new heir soon. You're just dead weight now. You're insane. Am I? I slapped his cheek. The sound crisp. You thought I wouldn't recognize your acting? Don't worry. I'll keep you alive, for now. John called hours later, whining about being tricked by his mistress. She took everything. I'll cut her off completely. I swear. Cut her off? I laughed. After she cost us so much? Let her have the baby. Your parents want a grandson. Right? Why not monetize your internet fame? Livestream your drama for cash. Oh listen, your dad's calling. I held the phone to Michael's whimpers. John's scream when he heard his father's cries was music to my ears. Dad. What's happening? Answer me. I hung up. If he truly cared, he'd never have abandoned Michael here. Crocodile tears deserve no pity. Michael huddled on the bed, glaring at me with venomous eyes. Scattered before him were countless photographs, intimate snapshots of John and that woman with other men. I smiled sweetly. Worried the baby in her womb isn't your grandson? Or feeling indignant for your son? Don't fret. Whether it gets born at all remains to be seen. What do you want? Kill me then. Go ahead and kill me. His eyes bulged grotesquely. I chuckled. Now. We live in a civilized society. Do you know how many permits I had to file just to keep your rotting carcass receiving treatment? Mad woman. You're completely deranged. He shrieked after staring at me. I smiled faintly. Deranged indeed. The day I crawled back from hell, sanity became optional. I cheerfully updated him about John's unemployment, how he and that woman now scuttled through back alleys like vermin, gathering the photos. I mused. John's probably broke since he tried scamming me last week. Imagine his reaction seeing these? Desperate men do reckless things. You wouldn't dare. Bitch. Rage ignited in me. Watch me. Though you'll miss the show, the psychiatric hospital transfer papers are signed. Crazy people shouldn't trouble themselves with such matters. Michael turned ashen. The old brute never imagined I'd institutionalize him. Not impulsive cruelty, but calculated justice. Sometimes living is worse than dying. The police call came days later. Identification required. When they repeated the names, I burst into tears, joyous sobs. John was dead. Him and that woman. Their lovers' quarrel escalated until they barricaded themselves in some hovel and lit charcoal. I perfected the devastated widow act until father arrived, apologizing to officers through his own tears. My daughter loved that cheating scoundrel deeply. Why else stay after his affairs? Who'd think he'd choose death over his own child? At home, I shared the glorious news with Michael. Your son's gone. The Johnson family's entire legacy is now in my hands. He just giggled vacantly, eyes darting in terror when I approached. The old monster's mind had finally shattered exactly as planned. Weren't you dead? How are you back? Yvonne. Blame that old hag, it was all her idea. She told me to beat you to death.